I have a second channel, Cube Comp MTDX. Hey everybody, here I have two Dynex 400 watt power supplies from Best Buy. These two units were pulled out of dead E machines I had acquired years ago. The one on the, the one on the right clearly has had more use, somewhat more use than the one on the left. Matter of fact, I think this one here, the machine had a dead motherboard in it. Perhaps the customer bought the power supply and replaced it himself, I don't know. But these power supplies, there's some things about them that I'd like to share with you guys. You know, Best Buy used to sell these things for pretty high prices. I think at one point I remember seeing them asking like $70 or $80 for these things. And upon first impression, you know, the unit has a good bit of heft to it. It does not have any power factor correction. It's just your old-fashioned voltage doubler circuit. We do have sleeving on the cables, but of course, like a lot of the Dynex branded products from the back in the day, the sleeving only went up to about a few inches from the supply, not actually into the back of the unit, like you would probably want it to be. We do have ample connectors, you know, lots of connectors, but these do not feature an 8-pin 12-volt connector. They only have a 4-pin connector. Of course, these units came out, I think, before EPS 12-volt was really common. Here's a 6-pin PCI Express video card power connector there. Okay, let's try to separate the cables of these two a little bit better. You have lots of SATA connectors, which is a good thing. Do have a pretty good bit of 4-pin Molex connectors. Okay, so this lead we have 3 SATA connectors. That's our CPU power. We have 2 4-pin Molex connectors and a SATA connector there. We have 3 4-pin Molex and 1 floppy disk connection. And we have a 3-pin connector for the video card. If you have a video card that uses a 3-pin. No, excuse me. Did I say 3-pin? Yeah, I meant to say 6-pin. So, yeah, 6-pin versus 8-pin. We do have a 24 only connector here, and I think these power supplies shipped with a 24 to 20-pin adapter for your older machines. So, yeah, that's the kind of connectors it has, which I guess is a bit more appropriate for its time. But these were sold up until, I want to say, at least 2010. There's something about these things that I'd like to show you. For one thing, you may notice it right away. So this is the unit that barely had any use on it. I want to go ahead and mention that I have not touched these with the air compressor. So what you see is totally real. If you look carefully inside here, you can see we have a bulging capacitor. Yeah, when I got this unit, the capacitors were not bulging in it. But over the years that this thing has sat in storage, in room temperature by the way, at least 2 or 3 of those TPO capacitors in there have started to fail. Isn't that wonderful? So, let's go and open these things up and have a look inside. I'm going to open this one up. Now, I should mention that these two units do have like a garden variety of capacitors in them. Well, yeah, that's how more, actually better word should say Heinz 57 mixture. I see TPOs in this one. I see TPOs and another brand in this one over here. So as I mentioned, Best Buy always had these things stickered with the premium price. So let's see what kind of quality that premium price you pay at Best Buy would get you. So these units do have a pretty good bit of heft to them. We have 680 microfarad input main primary capacitors. The bridge rectifier is over to the left. And it's, of course, I think the model is facing inward toward the cap. I'm going to assume it's probably an 8 amp main bridge. So it looks like we have, okay, so both of these units are a freaking mixture of capacitors. Every single TPO capacitor in this thing is failed, or is failing, I should say, bulging. So we have TPO capacitor there, TPO capacitor there, TPO capacitor there, and kind of hard to get to it. Oh, TPO capacitor there. That one's actually starting to leak a little bit. The other capacitors, can't quite tell. There's so much stuff in here. Can't really tell the branding of it. Anyways, what I'll do is I'll crack open the second one because I think it has more of the other style caps. But yeah, think about this, guys. This thing was fitted into an E-machine system with a bad motherboard that was killed by the original Best Tech ATX25012E power supply. And the person said, okay, I'm done with this E-machine. I'm going to donate it to the Goodwill Computer Works store because that's where I bought the thing from years ago. Power supply, spick and span, brand new. Absolutely no dust in the fan whatsoever. And as I said, guys, I did not clean this thing out. If I remember right, the rest of the machine was kind of dusty, but the power supply was spick and span, so I know for a fact it was it was put in, and it never really got much use. So yeah, yeah, this thing has not seen much use, but the TPO capacitors are already failing. I tell you guys, this freaking crazy. So at first I thought these units did not have any sort of surge protection because I see a spot here that says MOV2 and MOV1 and there's nothing there. But back here I do see some green components which I do think are probably varistors. So it does look to have a full complete EMI filtering stage. So yeah, the unit itself is built pretty well. It's just they chose to install crappy capacitors in it. Now I'm going to recap this thing, and I'll definitely be replacing those TPOs, but I think the other ones are going to be okay. The TPOs are really known for failures, but yeah. I should also mention that Johnny Grew, or one of those sites that does the power supply load testing reviews, load tested one of these, and it did do its rated output of 400 watts, but if you asked for more from it, like 450 watts, it would fail. The primaries would go out in it. Yeah, these primary transistors would go. Because this unit does not have proper overload protection. So if you use one of these things, just kind of be mindful of that. So that's inside of this one. So we'll be recapping this one. I'm going to put the card back on for now. So this one should be a pretty easy recap job. You just take the board out, and there's 4 caps that need replacing. I should have replacements for them. The PCV is silkscreened 2008-11-04. So trying to remember So I think around 2009 we were already starting to get motherboards that had EPS 8-pin 12-volt connectors, and I'm sure we were probably starting to get video cards already that used 8-pin PCI Express power connectors. So yeah, this thing was already getting pretty dated by design. Now, from my understanding, these are made by a company called Huntkey, and I've seen power supplies from them on a couple of occasions. But what's funny is over here I see a LW on this model number. And normally when you see LW, you think Link World. Link World has been known for making some crappy power supplies, but I think they've also been known for making some half-decent ones too. So, what else is kind of interesting, I see on the back there, I see a 200 to 300W. So, was this thing like silkscreen to be like a more basic power supply? Who knows? Anyways, I'll go ahead and pop this one back together, and we'll look at the second one. Matter of fact, I got something better planned. Let's leave the cover off this one. I'll go ahead and open this one up. And I'll pop these things back together after I finish the video. How's that sound? Yeah, I gotta get rid of that warranty sticker, of course. If I remember right, I didn't see any failed caps in this one, but this is the first time I've actually opened it up, so we'll really know for sure here in a moment. Alrighty. Okay guys, so this unit has a lot more hours on it. What's funny, what's really interesting about this, despite this one having more hours, we only have one bad TPO capacitor in it. But actually this unit has has more TPOs in it than I thought. Okay, so this one capacitor over here, trying to see if there's a brand on it. FCON is the brand. Not a very well-known capacitor brand, but they do seem to be holding up better than the freaking TPOs. Yeah, this thing's kind of dirty. I should probably hit it with the air compressor, but I mean it's already opened up now, so which would also make it a little easier. But anyways, these units are a mixture of FCON and TPO for capacitors. And then we have only one failed TPO in this thing. It's under the glue. You can't really see it because there's white glue on top. Go ahead and scrape that off of there, because I'm going to have to pull that cap anyway and replace it before I put this unit back into service. Yeah, top is just slightly bulging on that one, and the rest of them look okay. But just like with the first one, all the TPOs are coming out. They're coming out and getting replaced. Okay, so let's look at the primary caps. This one has a different brand of primary caps in it. Some weird brand you can't really pronounce. Shanghai? I don't know. This one has a brand of TL on the primary caps. So yeah, as mentioned, Heinz 57 mixture of capacitors in these things. I mean, we have the TL, TPO, and FCON in this one. And in this one we have the Shanghai, TPO, and FCON. And as I said, this one has more use on it. Yeah, this one came out of an E-machine system too. that I think had quite a bit more use on it. Not sure. I can't remember if the motherboard was working in that machine or not, but yeah, that's a good point to mention. You know, e-machine systems that had a 250-watt supply in them were barely putting any load on these things at all. So that's just ridiculous that there's failed capacitors in both of these. Especially this one. Because this one never really got any use because, as mentioned, I believe the story with this one was the customer went to Best Buy, picked up power supply off the shelf. I mean, anybody can crack open a regular desktop computer and look at the power supply and be like, I can probably replace that. They're not too difficult to change out. But, so let's say a customer went to Best Buy, bought one of these puppies, brought it home, installed it in his old E-machine that the old Best Tech power supply had already killed the motherboard in, and then noticed, oh, my motherboard's not, my computer still doesn't work. Okay, I'm donating to the Goodwill store. So yeah, in other words, this thing has barely had any use on it at all whatsoever. It's crazy. And the TPO caps are just bulging one by one. Junk. Well, other than that, aside from the lack of proper overload protection, overpower protection is OPP is what it's technically called. You know, these are not too bad of units. But in my overall opinion, they were priced way too high. At the time that these things were being sold at Best Buy, you could go on Newegg and use the same money to buy a much better quality unit, probably sporting active power factor correction, and possibly being rated 80 plus. Yeah, these are not 80 plus. These do not have active PFC. They don't even have passive power factor correction in either. They're just plain Jane voltage doubler circuits. You have the 120, you have the 110, 220 volt selector on the back, or 115, 230 volt selector on the back. Power comes in, and in North America, the bridge rectifier acts as a voltage doubler circuit to achieve your close to 400 volts DC that goes in through here. And of course, guys, you be careful when you're working in power supplies like this. This unit has been unplugged for years. And, if you need to service your power supply, unplug it and let it sit for a while, at least an hour or two. Probably a day, depending on the unit. Because there's little bleeder resistors inside these units. Sometimes they're surface mounted on the bottom of the circuit board. But they are responsible for draining these capacitors and keeping them drained when your power supply is unplugged. But anyways, I figured since we haven't looked at the label yet, we may as well do that, and then we'll end the video. So that's the label on one of these bad boys. Dynex DX-400WPS. You can do 28 amps on the plus 5, 14 amps on 12 volt rail number 1, 12 volt rail number 2 can do 15 amps, minus 12 can do 0.3 amps, plus 5 volt standby is rated for 2.5 amps. Usually that rail is rated for 2 amps. Output watts, 400 watts. 5 volt and 3.3 volt, 120 watts. So it does seem like this thing is, it does have about 30 amps available on the plus 5 volt rail, but this thing does seem to be more modern in its design as far as the 12 volt rail. Now, this unit has dual 12 volt rails. Power supplies, matter of fact, most new power supplies on the market, they put out 12 volt DC, and for your other rails, like your plus 3.3 and plus 5, they have built-in DC to DC conversion to get your other outputs. So yeah, power supplies have definitely changed over the years. So anyways, that's a look inside two of these units. Both of them have failed capacitors, and both of them are going to need to be serviced. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well guys, that's it for this one. But it doesn't have to be. There's plenty more videos on the channel to check out. Also, if you liked the video, please click the like button. And if you absolutely hated it, there is the alternative button as well. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And remember to click the bell so that we get notified of all updates. Also, if you're interested in things aside from computers and technology, check out my second channel. It's CubeComp MTDX. Over there you'll find videos about weather, elevators, bicycling, and pretty much whatever else I figure out to upload. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support.